Hello dear students. Today we learn about the surface of the moon, atmosphere of the moon. So let's start the moon's surface. The moon is a fascinating object for poets and storytellers, but when astronauts landed on the moon, they found that the moon's surface is dusty and barren. There are many craters of different sizes. It also has a large number of steep and high mountains. Some of these are as high as highest mountains on the earth. The moon has no atmosphere, it has no water. So can any life exist on the moon? So student, in previous class we have learned that moon takes the same time to orbit about the earth and the same time it takes to rotate about its axis. For these we can only see one face or one surface of the moon. And based on this surface, many fascinating stories we know from our childhood. But actually, the surface of the moon is full of rock and dusty, and it is a barren. By sending many spacecraft into the moon, starting from Apollo 11, scientists have seen the surface of the moon is different that from the earth. It is hard, loose soils are there. By the heating of asteroids, there are many craters. Even there are many lava mountains which are old millions of years. For heating of the asteroids, many craters of different sizes have formed. The surface of the moon is covered with dead volcanoes also. It is seen that in the surface of the moon there is a trace of silicon and iron along with sodium and potassium. The moon atmosphere is very thin. It consists of argon, helium, oxygen, methane, nitrogen, carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. But it is so thin and density is so less that no sound can be heard on the surface of the moon. So, can you hear any sound on the moon? No, it can't be heard for the presence of very thin atmosphere. We learned in chapter 13 the sound cannot travel when there is no medium. Then how can we hear the sound on the moon? So it is not possible to hear any sound on the moon. Did you know on July 21, 1969, the American astronaut Neil Armstrong landed on the moon for the first time? He was followed by Edwin Aldrin. So from 1969, many countries sent spacecraft into the moon and also some spacecraft which are orbiting still about the moon and collecting information about the surface of the moon, nature of the atmosphere, etc. India also sent spacecraft Chandrayaan-1 in 2008 which worked up to 2009, then sent Chandrayaan-2 in July 2019, and one part of the Chandrayaan-2, it is orbital, still orbiting about the moon and collecting information. Chandrayaan-1 first stressed the presence of water on the surface of the moon. Next, the stars. What other objects do we see in the night sky? There is a large number of stars in the sky. Observe carefully on a dark night and from a place away from a big city. Are all the stars equally bright? Are they of same color? In fact, stars emit light of their own. The sun is also a star. So why does it appear so large compared to other stars? It's very simple answer because it is the nearest one and other stars are far away from us. So which appears bigger, a football placed near you or a football placed at a distance of 100 meter? Of course, the football which is near to me appears bigger. The stars are millions of times further away than the sun. Therefore, the stars appears to us like points. And they also appears to be twinkling for the presence of the atmosphere. Now, there are many different kind of stars ranging from tiny brown dwarf to red and blue supergiants, and they are classified according to their colors, their size and the light they are emitting and their origin. So stars are the heavenly bodies which are huge in size and extremely hot due to high temperature, and they shine and emit their own light, and most of the stars emit their light and by the formation of energy by nuclear fusion. The stars are much bigger than that of the planets. Even the some stars are there which is much bigger than that of the sun. They are stars are not permanent. They are classified like that of the protostar, main sequence star, red giant star, white dwarf star, Newton star, supergiant star. So these stars are classified on the basis of their temperature, the light emit and the size and the masses. Among it, like a protostar, it is the early stage of the star formation. Means the protostar is a collection of gas which collapse due to gravity and high pressure. Then a star is formed. So it is the early stage of formation of the star. Main sequence stars like Sun, Sirius, Alpha Centauri or Proxima Centauri, they mainly emit energy by converting hydrogen to helium in fission reaction. Red giant stars, when the stock of hydrogen in the core of the star is consumed almost, then the star become a red giant star and it emit a red color. The white dwarf star, when all the fuel in the star is consumed, it become a white giant star. And the supergiant stars are the stars which emit a bluish light and mass much heavier than that of the sun. So sun is, it is the most nearest star in our solar system. It is nearly 150 million kilometer away from the earth. The next nearest star is Proxima Centauri. In some book it is written Alpha Centauri, but in Alpha Centauri there are two types: Alpha Centauri 1 and 2, or A or B. But Proxima Centauri is the nearest one. It is at a distance of about 4 into 10 to the power 13 kilometer from the earth. Yes, or 40 into 10 to the power 12 kilometer from the earth. So can you read this distance in kilometer confidently? Some stars are even further away. So large distance are expressed in another unit known as light year. Now 1 light year is the distance travelled by light in 1 year. That means distance travelled by light in 1 second into number of seconds in 1 year. Then we will get 9.46 into 10 to the power 12 kilometer. Remember that the speed of light is about 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, that you know. Thus, the distance of the sun from the earth may be said about 8 light minutes. That means light, the distance covered by light in 1 minute is equal to 8 light minutes, and this is the distance between the sun and the earth. The distance of Alpha Centauri is about 4.3 light year. So the most convenient way to express the such large distance between stars and planets that stand between two galaxies is light year. So Sun is 8.3 light minutes from the Earth, Alpha Centauri is 4.3 light years, whereas Sirius is 8.7 light years. If light from stars takes years to reach us, I wonder if we are looking into the past when we look at stars. Yes, some stars which collapsed many years ago, and they are so far from the earth, and light takes suppose millions of years to cover the distance, we can see this one. So looking into the past when we look at the stars. I want to know, why do not see stars during day, why they visible only at night? So it is very simple and very easy to answer, that due to the brightness of the sunlight we cannot see the stars during daytime, and they appear invisible in the night because there is no bright sunlight in that night time. In fact, the stars are present in the sky during the daytime also. However, they are not visible then because of the bright sunlight. Observe some prominent stars or a group of stars in the sky for about 2 hours or more. What do you find? Do you find any change in the position of stars in the sky? You will find that the stars appears to move from east to west. A star which rises in the east in the evening sets in the west in the early morning. So why do stars appear to move from east to west? Let us find out. For this, there is an activity 17.4. You have to stand in the center of a big room and start rotating. In which direction will the object in the room appears to move? Do you see them moving in the direction opposite to your motion? Of course, they will move opposite to the direction of the motion. So, students, you can understand why do stars appears to move from east to west. Because the earth rotates from west to east, and in the opposite direction the stars are appears to move. But they actually do not move. Paheli recalls that when she is in a moving train, the nearby trees and buildings appear to move in the backward direction. So if the stars appears to move from east to west, could it mean that the earth rotates from west to east? Of course. So now Bhujo said, I understand why the sun appears to rise in the east and set in the west, as the earth rotates from the west to east on its axis. Paheli said that my grandfather told me that there is a one star in the sky which does not move at all. So how is it possible? That is the pole star. If the star is on the axis of the earth, then no change of place we can see from the earth surface. Take an umbrella and open it. Make about 10 to 15 stars out of white paper. Paste one star at the position of the central rod of the umbrella, and others at different places on the cloth near the end of each spoke. Now rotate the umbrella by holding its center rod in your hand. Observe the stars of the umbrella. Is there any star which does not appear to move? And where is the star located? If there were a star located where the axis of rotation of the earth meets the sky, could this star also be stationary? Oh, sorry. Yes, here is. There is actually a star, the pole star, which is situated in the direction of the Earth's axis. It doesn't appear to move. Constellations are the group of stars that form recognizable shape. The constellations were devised by ancient people to be able to recognize stars in the sky. The shapes of constellations resemble objects familiar to those people. Now the shape of the constellation are devised by ancient people of different places of different shape. You can easily identify some constellation in the night sky. For this, you should know what a particular constellation looks like and where to look for it in the night sky. One of the most famous constellation which can you see during summertime in the early part of the night is Ursa Major. It is also known as Big Dipper, the Great Bear, or Saptarshi. There are 7 prominent stars in the constellation. It looks like a big ladle or a question mark. There are 3 stars in the handle of the ladle and 4 on its bowl. In all ancient cultures, very interesting mythological stories have been associated with the various constellations. Sorry children, number of times it is going far away. Yes, here we are. So here the Saptarshi Mandal or Great Bear, the constellation we are talking about, it consists of 7 stars. So Ursa Major or Saptarshi has been associated with 7 well-known ancient Indian sages or rishis as shown in the figure below. According to ancient mythology, the 7 sages who form the Saptarshi preserve the eternal knowledge of Vedas and explain it to the people in every new age. And their names are Marichi, Vasishtha, Angiriyas, Atri, Kruto, Protu, Pulaha, Pulastha. So these are the 7 sages whose name given after the 7 stars. Among these stars, some stars are there which are binary stars. That means these stars move or orbit each other. Activity 17.6. Observe this constellation for a few hours. Do you find any change in its shape? Do you find any change in its position? You will observe that the shape of the constellation remain same. So dear student, today up to this much. Next day I shall provide one PPT with interesting topics. Thank you.